Hi there, my name is Matthew, aka EZBOT, and today we're going to have a look at song mode, which is now included in the Digitakt, Digitone, and Syntakt. Song mode is the same as the arranger that you'll find in the Octatrack, Analog 4, or Analog Rhythm, however, a little bit more simplified and streamlined, just like everything else in the Digi lineup, if I may call it that. So it's pretty cool. How they implemented it into the Digitakt and Syntakt and Digitone is as follows. You hit the three dots, and this brings up this menu here that says Song Mode Off. And if you want to turn it on, you just hit yes. You see that these light up here? Let's check that out again. These little keys light up yellow. It's so simple. These keys represent the functions that you can do in the song mode setup. So you can hit up and go into your settings menu here, and you can rename songs. So if I hit rename, right now my song's called The Energy. I can clear out a song. I can go in here and load other songs. You can have like 99 songs in a project, so you could have this just arrange basically every song that you've written on your Digitakt, if you could fit that in one project, that was. And then you can save it to your project, kind of like saving a pattern to your project. So that's what that menu is all about, and basically you're gonna jump in there for a second, rename stuff, save it, and leave that menu real fast. So if we go to load, we get to pick the song that we have in our arrangement. So we could have different versions of songs, different lengths of songs. One of the cool things about the arranger or song mode is that you get to choose what tracks are muted. So on boxes like the Octatrack, Analog 4, and Analog Rhythm, song mode is the only way that you get pattern mutes in your songs. So it's super effective here, but everybody wants it here, very much so. Everybody's gonna be really excited to update their Digitakt, Digitone, and Syntakt with this firmware because song mode is a pretty big deal to have in these boxes. It makes it pretty akin to the flagship devices. So going back over to our song mode menu, go to edit. We can just insert rows, function down. This is how you insert rows. And then you can also delete rows by using function up. You can copy rows by copying a row, function plus copy, paste it, the same. And yeah, it's really just that simple. So right now I have a song fully arranged in here, and it's really pretty simple. You navigate your menu like this. So the first thing that you'll come across here is the actual song row. So you can actually activate other parts of your song this way while you're looking at the arrangement section or song mode. And over here we have our label. If you hit yes, you can go in and choose a label. You can't name them yourself, but you can just pick a label. And then over here you have your pattern. So this is where you design your actual song. So if you wanted to change pattern, you could use the level data knob here and adjust what pattern is. If you push down, you can go real fast, and we can go into our banks. So I'm gonna keep it at A01. When you're in song mode, you get this new action here that says function plus Y row BPM or song BPM. So that's also new, and I just stumbled across that. So that's where you put your patterns in. This is how many times the pattern plays. It's really pretty simple. It goes up to 32. I'm gonna keep it at 2. Or did I have it at 1? I can't, I can always just reload it, right? And then this is how long pattern step is. So just like what you would expect to find in your pattern scale. So this is where you can adjust the scale of your patterns. The tempo. If you hit yes, it opens up the tempo menu. And then the last part is your pattern mutes. So here's what you say, what parts of this pattern are muted when you get to it. So essentially what you would do is, like, for example here, on verse 02, we look at my pattern mutes and it has 3, 4, 5, and 7 are muted. We go to this next one, it's 3, 4, and 8 are muted, but they're actually the same pattern. So if I go over here and hit yes, okay, let's hear this one. It's the same pattern, but I've chosen to mute or unmute different tracks. So this is where you get a lot of mileage. So while this is happening, this is the cool part about arrangers, and this one being so fast to create arrangements on, is that I can now mess around with like my Octatrack. which I love, right? So now I get to spend more time playing with effects and less time thinking about muting or unmuting tracks in my patterns. So it's a real time saver. And if you're performing live, it's going to mean that you are going to have your song play out exactly as you would want it to. So this is going to be huge for live performance, especially if you're writing a kind of music that implies verse, chorus, verse, bridge, outro, intro, that kind of stuff, rather than the kind of music where it's like one pattern can play for a long time and you're making slow and manual adjustments. I mean, you can still do that on here for sure, but this really, really helps with the kind of music that is like verse, chorus, verse, or just laying out a really long arrangement of tons of songs. So that would be really good for this too. There's a couple shortcuts to building out a song, and this is one of the coolest parts. And you can, as you probably know, if you've owned a Digitakt, Syntakt, or Digitone for a while, there's always been pattern chaining, which is kind of a thing that I think not too many people use. Enough people use it, I'm sure, for it to be valuable, but it's not super common as far as I know. I definitely never used it. But I've already started using it now because the way they've implemented pattern chaining into song mode is pretty sick. So you can make songs very quickly just by creating a chain. Select a pattern, hold down the next one, make sure you're still holding down one of these, and just start building out a chain, as you can see right here. And now when we go into our arranger, we can say, yes, turn it on, edit, your song is empty. Would you like to create rows from a chain? Sure would. I'll hit yes. How about from the current chain? Bam. There's our song. It's got all the patterns that I just had in it. At a completely different tempo. That's okay though, that's because I haven't set that up yet. Before we were creating it from an existing chain, you can create a new chain and then just plug it in right here. That's how quickly you can make songs in this new song mode arranger, which is pretty cool. So another feature that I really like, and it's something that is in the Octatracks arranger, is that you can loop segments. But the looping of segments is actually a lot easier now in this version of the song mode. Let's go back over to my original song. So load the energy, song loaded. And that song's already loaded up. You can see right here, it's gonna let us count down, which is really nice to see when it's about to move to the next section. But if I want, I could just loop an area. So if I like this, I can loop it. Hold that down, hit the left arrow. Now it's looping row 2, and it will loop endlessly. So during this looping, you could take something like an OP1, throw this down, and then we can end that loop. So now it's back onto our song, and if we wanted, we can actually just break the chain and just go to another pattern. Queuing pattern A06. Now we switched over to it. Now if we want to go back to our song, just go back into song mode and hit yes. Now after this segment plays, it's going to return to where it just was. And here we are, back where we were in our song. So you can make alternate versions of songs and place them on different patterns. It's pretty cool. So I think this song mode is the most powerful on the Digitakt. And the reason why I think it's the most powerful in the Digitakt is because it has 8 MIDI tracks. So now we can sequence 8 machines and arrange that in the song arranger on the Digitakt. But also because it's a sampler, it can sound like any device. In terms of like songwriting and getting your work done, how quickly you can work on the Digitakt with this arranger is pretty uncanny. So it's gonna be pretty sick for a lot of people. I think it's gonna blow people's minds when they get familiar with the song mode. Let's have a look at the other song mode and kind of compare it. So here we are in the arranger section for song mode. On the Octatrack and on the other flagship devices, Analog Rhythm, Analog 4, you have a button dedicated to your song mode, which I guess it does too, but this is kind of a secondary thing that they added to it later in the game. But over here, it's way more complex. And I'll tell you what, it's a whole lot harder to navigate here than it is here. This song mode is, in my opinion, a better song mode, but it's similar. But over here that we have this chains section where you can chain arrangements together. We don't have that here. And there's also halt, loop, and there's another function called jump. And you can also write in stuff, so you can just like have a message there saying like, this is the next part of the song. That doesn't exist in this arranger, and that's like the main differences between the two. It's pretty basic, so not really that big of a deal. I honestly like this arranger better because that loop function's so fast to use, and just taking pattern chains and just plugging it right into the song mode kind of makes it better in my opinion. So I'm gonna just hit play on my song and let it play out, and you can listen to it, or you can go watch another video on song mode. I'm sure there's a whole bunch out right now. Now we can loop apart. yeah, so new song mode. It's pretty dope. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Super important. I'll see you next time.